What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Stay Fresh production. Today we're talking about the house of Parfums Vintage. They've been relevant for a few years now, but it seems like as of recently they've been relevant in a terrible way. I've been seeing a lot of negativity circulating around the brand itself from certain pockets of the community, as well as around reviewers who tend to feature their products on their channel. Now, I am one of those reviewers. I've been talking about the house for at least 2 years now, and I've really enjoyed the relationship I've had with them, and for the most part, the products that I've been able to experience from them. Now, all that to say, and this is at least to do my part, my due diligence, all this talk about reviewers being paid by Parfums Vintage to speak highly about their fragrances and whatnot, it's just the biggest amount of hearsay, and it's hating to the max. All these people out here just sipping the haterade and spewing out, just things out of envy and jealousy and negativity. It's just not cool, and it's unnecessary. There's enough negativity in the world. There's no need to add to the pot. Be the change you want to see. Simple as that. Anyway, wanted to get that off my chest. Now, one of the main reasons why it seems that Parfums Vintage has a bad reputation is because of the energy that they put into cloning fragrances, and most prominently Creed's Ventus, which you probably already know is one of the most popular fragrances marketed for men over the past decade, if not more. And I guess what has really rubbed people the wrong way is how Parfums Vintage has created so many different iterations of their clones of a Ventus, trying to recreate or reiterate certain facets and aspects of the fragrance, maybe boosting a certain part or maybe muting a certain part, things like that, and also trying to get close, or as close as they can, to original batches and formulations and all that stuff. There's a whole lore behind Creed Ventus that I'm not going into, and I really don't care that much about, but I know a lot of people do, and there's Facebook groups dedicated to it all. But anyway, that's another topic. But many people don't have the full story behind why Parfums Vintage does what they do in regards to a Ventus in particular. And I'm going to read you something. These are the words that were sent to me in a personal email from one of the representatives of the brand. Her name is Jane, and I really appreciate the information and the insight that she has shared with me. I'm going to read this to you. This is in her words. With previous releases in the Pineapple line, we have focused on amping up desirable notes. However, the recent Ventus batches are watered down, so we wanted to produce potent and balanced options. Many people who have experience with the 2015 batches of Ventus have admitted that Emperor, which is one of their newest releases, is just as good, and I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Ventus is living off of a reputation which is no longer on the shelves to buy. We have had the opinion for a long time that due to most reviewers having a batch from 2015 and earlier, that they are unlikely to use all of their bottle, that 2015 bottle, and therefore they're not aware of how poor the 2018 and newer bottles have become. 2016 batches are now in high demand, and even in the Ventus addicts groups, which has been a place where Ventus can be sourced at the lowest prices, 2016 batches are now being listed for $600. I personally have a 2016 batch, and I didn't know that information until she told me. I don't plan on selling a Ventus anytime soon, but I guess if I wanted to in the near future, we're gonna be rolling in the dough. We have had the opinion that the familiar just buy a decan of a Ventus has been an outdated cliche since 2017 due to the sheer amount of poor batches. On top of this, Creed raised the price of their flacons recently. Last year, 1,000 milliliters was $1,350, $1,350. The price for 500 milliliters has now risen to $1,055. You see the difference here. This is a clear strategy by Creed to stop making Ventus more affordable to those who are relying on decants to make it more accessible. So they are clearly trying to fill a void. They're trying to solve a problem that has been created by the source, which is Creed. Now, all this stuff is only in regards to their work with Ventus. But that's not all they do, as you probably already know. Another big part of what they do is cloning fragrances that are either discontinued or difficult to find or have been horridly reformulated. And these are fragrances from across the board. They could be from any house. They've done Coromandel from Chanel, which is one of their newest releases, and they call theirs Cacophony. I haven't tried that one. And I actually have a whole range of fragrances that they've sent me recently. These are some of their most recent releases. I'm going to talk about them really briefly. This one here, I believe this is Evolution de l'Homme Soir, and this is their rendition of Elysium Parfum Cologne, I believe, or maybe, I don't remember which one it is, whether it's the Parfum Cologne or the Parfum Extrait version, from the House of Roger Dove. And it is a really, really great interpretation of it. I honestly think I prefer Elysium a little bit more because this one has this really just amped up vetiver note that I'm actually not too crazy about. It just, when it dries down, it gets a little flat for me, but also it's been a while since I've actually tried it. And I only tried it with one spray on my hand when I got it, and I just kind of made my judgment. But I think I'm going to revisit it. Nonetheless, it smells great, and it smells really close to Elysium. This one, which is one that I've talked about recently, this is Emperor, and this is the Eau de Parfum version. You have to look on the bottom to see the names. I don't know if you can see that. And this is supposed to be close to the 2015 batches of Ventus, and it is. It is so incredibly close. It basically is a Ventus. It dries down a little bit to Parfums Vintage, like signature base notes. They have a lot of musks, and they just, I don't know, they have a very similar DNA to their fragrances that it dries down to, but it still has that warmth that Ventus carries with that vanilla, with the birch and things like that. And it just smells really good. Great pineapple note. It's a Ventus. This is a Ventus in all its glory. This one here, this is one of the new ones. This is X Batch Intense. And I do have a review of the original X Batch, which came out about 2 years ago. And this is obviously an intensified version. And that's, yeah, what it is. It is super intense. They've amped up the pineapple and black currant. It's super juicy and fruity and sweet. It has more thickness to it. It lasts a little bit longer on the skin. It doesn't really seem to project on me all that much, but I do believe it is an updated version of X Batch. It is an improved version. And if you don't know what X Batch is, they basically took this Dior Sauvage scent profile and mixed it with what they call Creative Ventus, but more like pineapple vintage. And they put those together to create X Batch. But the intense version has less of the Sauvage aspect. It has less of that ambroxan presence, so it's not quite like Sauvage anymore. It's still kind of fresh like that and a little spicy, but not really, but leans closer to a Ventus. This one here, this is called Exaltant Le Musc Intense. This is the intense version. There's a non-intense version, and I really enjoy this. This is their rendition of Bleecker Street from Bond Number 9, and in my opinion, this is better than Bleecker Street. I was never crazy about it. I have a review of Bleecker Street from a while back, and this one I have actually been impressed with. I didn't think I would care for it, but it's just richer and thicker and a little bit sweeter, and it just has all these characteristics. I think it has this amped up violet note to it that I really enjoy, more so than I enjoy Bleecker Street. So that's another thing I want to talk about. One of the really noble things that Parfums Vintage is doing is that they're offering these reinterpretations of very popular niche fragrances at hundreds of dollars less of a price. So you can pay less for the same scent, basically, if not making it a little bit cheaper. But not cheap, if you know what I mean. This is not a cheaply made scent. It is good quality ingredients. Again, that's another thing that I really appreciate about the brand. And this one here I've talked about quite a bit. This is actually maybe not all that much, a couple times. This is Imbue, which is supposed to recreate Gucci Pour Homme 2 from Gucci. This single-handedly changed my opinion on Gucci Pour Homme 2, which I didn't really care for until I smelled this a few times. It took me a little while to warm up to it, but now I love it. I don't know what happened, but something changed, and I love this. And this is one of those instances where I think they were going for recreating the fragrance before it has been reformulated, because I don't think Gucci Parfum 2 is still very readily available in stores everywhere, but it has been reformulated, and it also has been rumored to be discontinued, even though they're still selling it. I don't know about that. And I think this is supposed to be like the earlier batches of it when it was a little bit stronger. Now it's a little bit watered down, in which case I do believe that you're paying a little bit less than you would pay to get a vintage bottle. However, if you don't care about performance, you're actually paying a little bit more to get Imbue than you would to get a brand new bottle of Gucci Parfum 2. That's a recent batch, especially if you're buying it online at a discounter. You're going to pay more for this one. But in my opinion, the premium is worth it because you're getting high quality ingredients, you're getting great performance, a richer smell. It's just great all around. So obviously you make the judgment for yourself in terms of where you want to place your value. Okay, so that's my brief talk about the house in general, about some of the fragrances that they've sent me in bottle form. But now on this side, I just received these the other day. These are brand new releases. In fact, I don't think they're technically released yet, but they will be very shortly. They sent me six new fragrances, and we're gonna smell them live. I haven't smelled these yet. I've been holding on to them. So let's jump right in. This first one, this is called Isla Tropica. Isla Tropica, maybe. Isla, I think is better. And this, I imagine, it just would make sense to me that this is supposed to be a rendition of Creed's Virgin Island Water. Came right out, okay. Oh yeah, I can already smell it. Ooh, yes, wow. See, I used to actually own a bottle of Virgin Island Water, but I ended up giving it away. I wasn't crazy about it because I didn't like the way it dried down to this very suntan lotiony vibe. I love the opening. I love the bright lime that it has. That's what I love the most about it. So fresh and invigorating, but it would just dry down to just like the coconut. And coconut is okay, but not my favorite note, and it would just, I don't know, I just always wish the lime would stay there. You know, I heard about Atelier Cologne's Pacific Lime, which is one of their newest releases, that is said to be very close to Virgin Island Water and to retain that lime note. Now I'm wondering if Parfums Vintage is answering that cry as well, and if this lime note is going to be amped up and if it will stay. I was told that they would be making a Virgin Island Water clone. I didn't know which one it would be, but obviously this is the one, and they did say that they're going to try to amp up the lime note. So I imagine that's what's going to happen here. But this is gorgeous. Beautiful scent. If you have smelled Virgin Island Water, then you're gonna love this. The next one is, all right, Isla Tropica Privé. So I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a more intense version, or maybe they just kind of tweak some of the notes a bit to get a different balance, change the blend a little bit to have, you know, different facets of it be more prominent. Let's see, this one did not come right out. Let's see how this differs. I feel like, okay, I'm pretty sure that I'm getting way more lime in this one. Wow, yeah, it's literally tingling my nostrils a whole lot more than that one did. This is lime all up in your face, right up front. The coconut is very much in the background. Now obviously I'm gonna have to try these on skin to see how they really develop, but this might be answering the prayers of many in terms of that lime note being more prominent. This is beautiful. Okay, up next we have Pour Homme. Not a very descriptive name, and they didn't give me any information about what these fragrances would be before they sent them to me. In fact, they didn't even tell me they were going to send them. I just got a notification saying I had a package incoming, and here it came. So, as you already know, or maybe you already know, Pour Homme is a very widely used name for a fragrance that is used by most brands throughout the market, especially in the designer world. Now, I'm imagining this is supposed to recreate some kind of popular pour homme fragrance that we can't get anymore or that's been reformulated. My guess is Dolce & Gabbana pour homme. Maybe they're trying to do the original version, but we gotta find out. Let's see. I have no idea. I'm really excited. Not Dolce & Gabbana. I'm not sure what this is. It's kind of spicy, a little citrusy, and definitely like fresh and aromatic. There's actually something a little sour in the core of the scent that I'm not really liking all that much. Maybe that wouldn't show up on skin, but it's definitely sour. Like in the middle, around the edges, it's very nice and again kind of spicy and a little fresh. Maybe even a little creamy, just a little bit, but I don't know what this is. I really have no idea. This might be one I haven't experienced. Again, maybe I'll find out soon enough when we get closer to the release of this fragrance. Up next we have, this is Aqua Intense. And we can probably already imagine what this is. Probably their recreation of the 2016 version of Invictus Aqua from the house of Paco Rabanne. Oh yeah, that is Invictus Aqua. Wow. Just like I remember, I used to have a bottle of 2016. I ended up selling it a while back. Man, this is it. That's, in my memory, that is Invictus Aqua. That's impressive. Wow. It has the same amount of sweetness and freshness, that same balance of it. Almost a little bubblegummy, like a little aquatic. That's great. Some citrus in there. Beautiful. I'm telling you, that is Invictus Aqua. That is impressive. And up next, this is Citrus number 1. No idea what this is, because how many citrus fragrances are there? Yeah, too many. Oh, whoa, this one came right out too. Okay. Oh man, I can already smell it in the air. Okay. Definitely getting like orange or maybe even neroli, something like that. I'm immediately reminded of Neroli Portofino from Tom Ford. I haven't smelled that in a long time, so I can't tell you exactly, but it has that vibe, like that either Mandarino di Amalfi or Neroli Portofino, that vibe. Really nice, super bright and orange and zingy. It smells like there's a little bit of an underpinning of a white floral. Something kind of almost powdery and heady in the background, but it's gorgeous. Wow, and it has some density to it. I wonder if that'll be a good laster on skin. Well, we got one more and the last one. Oh, okay. Citrus number 1, Intense. So we got an intensified version of this one. Let's see. We'll get one more in there. Interesting. Okay, it is a little bit more intense, I guess. It seems like the heart is like more at the forefront. It has a little bit more density to it, but it's very much the same scent. Now on skin, who knows, but they're very, very similar, except maybe this one is a little bit more intense, as per the name. Okay, so those are some new releases that you guys can expect. I wanted to give you a little exclusive first look at what they sent me in terms of what to expect in the coming future. Maybe this month or next month we should be seeing some of these fragrances start to trickle in, if they haven't already, onto the website. Now, something that I did mention a couple years ago in my X-Batch review, and I still stand by this, is that I wished that Parfums Vintage might eventually start to go towards the direction where they're creating their own original compositions. And I think there's plenty of space in the market for them to do that. I think they have a good thing going, especially with the direction they're going with some of these fragrances that they are now reiterating. I mean, before they were doing some, again, a lot of Ventus and maybe some By Killian here and there, They did have that Dolce & Gabbana by Man clone, Intrigo Devastante Intense, beautiful scent. I didn't feature it here because it's not one of the newer ones. But I still kind of would be interested to see what that would look like for the brand if they started to veer into the direction of also creating their own scents. That doesn't mean they completely stop all this stuff here, but it just means that next to it, they also are presenting Parfums Vintage themselves as, again, an original voice in the market. Now, the name of the house itself obviously lends itself to kind of looking back, or, you know, again, recreating it. That's literally what Parfums Vintage rings to me in my head when I hear it, but I still think it's possible. I don't know what their plans are. Either way, I still think they're doing a lot of good for the community. If you don't like it, just don't worry about it. Just ignore it. If you see a review about it and you already know you don't like the brand and you're not interested, then just don't click on it. It's that simple. We don't need your negativity. I don't want what you hate. I'd rather have what you love. And if that's too much to give, at least give me what you like. You know what I mean? You don't need to spread hate. We don't need to do that. So if you don't like it, just keep scrolling. Simple as that. We have that power. God gave us thumbs. We could just keep on scrolling. So don't even worry about it. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this long first look and semi-rant about the House of Parfums Vintage. Please let me know what you think about the house and your thoughts in terms of where they stand in the community today. I would love to know. I'd love to talk about it with you. And I really appreciate you tuning in. Peace. I'll see you guys on the next one.